wallpapering?
No, I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
prison cell in Bradford.
About time. About time. It was coming a long time
Yeah,
ago,
I know.
this. Mm.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, guys. Yes, yes. If you want to know about the white background, just told Mark I'm in HMS Bradford. You know, our Majesty's, well, I can't say it, secret service, yes. The
You can't even say
top-tier
Her
answer,
Majesty's anymore. Steve, it's not even Her Majesty's anymore. It's His Majesty's.
right, is
Yeah,
Majesty's
yeah.
prison,
Mm,
Bradford. I'm on D Wing, yeah.
mm.
If anybody wants to send me any letters, notes, postcards, or weeks, I'll be so deeply grateful. Anyway, I'm all joking. I'm here at home and I'm okay. Thank you very much. Right, I tell you what, Domestic Violence Month. Gosh, now a lot of people. I was reading something today about domestic violence that 80% out of 100, they just done a survey, women will return to their husbands when when domestic violence happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think, Mark? Oh, and welcome, Mark Memphis tonight. Going, sorry about that, Mark. Sorry.
It's
Do
all right.
you think, Mark? Do you think that people who commit domestic violence can change?
Um,
Your personal view. I know you. You never
yeah,
get. I know you don't. Yeah. Go on.
yeah. I don't think domestic violence is something that you can take and apply it to everybody, as a whole. I think there will be people um, who can change, who can modify their behaviour. I do think there are people that can do that, but I think the vast majority of people have come through life and have reached that point of behaviour through um, some sort of disorder within their mind, which could be entirely rooted within them. They could have been the victims of abuse themselves, and it's the only thing that they know in terms of getting what they want because they've seen it happen in their childhoods. Um, Sad to say, I think the vast majority of domestic abusers probably can't change because I think it's like learned behaviour and it's so ingrained in them. Because everybody, including myself and including you, Steve, and including everyone that's listening to us now, um, we all have moments in our life when we are disappointed with life, with people, with what's happening, and we might feel outraged by it internally, and we might feel very, very angry about it. That's perfectly natural. That's perfectly normal. That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a human reaction. But if you've got this element to your personality where you can't um, accept that things happen to you and you just feel like lashing out, and it doesn't have to be domestic abuse, it can be, you know, a bloke in a pub saying the wrong thing to you, and then you just suddenly lose it and you lamp in one. Um, I, it's really, really hard. So I think I'd like to think that most people have the ability to keep that kind of behaviour in check. Um, and those that can't, probably for the vast majority of those, those cases, those people, they go too far with it. And I just think it's part of their personality. I mean, domestic abuse is really just an extension of abuse in life generally. It's a form of bullying. Um, It's just something. I mean, like bullying in the playground when you were a child. You'd bully other children, and I think it's just an escalation of that. You realise as the children get older, they probably get stronger, they probably get a little bit more wise to you, and you can't bully them anymore. So you just look for new, new targets, if you like. And unfortunately, it does seem to be the partner that seems to cop it. And of course, domestic abuse isn't just something that's exclusive to men attacking or abusing women.
Oh, no, yeah.
It's of course the other way around, and there's different forms of domestic abuse as well. But anyway, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, over the next half hour. So a very long-winded answer to your question: do I think it's something that can be changed? And on the whole, I don't think it is. I think it's
right. Okay.
I think it's just part of that. I think it's just part of their makeup, really.
Right. Okay. We'll come back to that in a minute. What we're
Yeah.
going to do, we're going to watch a video. What we're going to do, we're going to watch this video, then come back and we're going to discuss that. But in the meantime, please, I'm going to warn you guys, if you're watching, that there is a warning sign for this video. So please, if you don't want to look at it, please just turn your back for a while.
Hello. You okay?
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's lovely to see you.
You too.
Yeah, so we're going to go for the big bouncy waves?
No. I think I'm just going to play it safe and get a trim. You can blow dry it straight like you usually do.
I think you'd really suit curls. And don't you want to look your best for your interview tomorrow?
I don't think I'm going to go anymore.
Oh, no, what happened?
It's nothing really. It's silly.
Where is it?
What's wrong?
Where is it? Where's the money?
What money?
The emergency money, where is it? I need it.
What for?
I don't have time to explain. Just tell me where it is.
I had to buy some clothes.
Clothes? I need to apply today and you're talking to me about clothes.
I could pop to the bank.
Do you ever use this? Do you ever use your brain? I don't have time for that. I need it today.
I'm sorry.
Forget it. I'll be late, like I was last time.
So I'm just going to stick by myself. Think sick room is the best way to be because I am sick of being with selfish pricks, to be honest with you. So that's how it's going to be from now on, I think. That's what's best.
Do you know what? My Scott's been under a lot of stress recently. I could have done much better at making it easier for him. Babe, was everything okay today? I'm so sorry again about the money. Fancy a beer?
It all got sorted. Don't worry.
Thank goodness. Do you know what? I was so worried you were going to get into trouble, and it would have been all my fault.
Let's not talk about work now. Let's take a bit of Netflix on, and then perhaps afterwards you can show me your new clothes and do a little bit of a fashion show.
It's really nothing fancy. It's all black and white plain clothes. He wouldn't be very impressed.
You look beautiful to me in all your clothes.
It's a shame you don't want to go to that interview. You've done all that work on your CV. What changed your mind?
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know it.
What's all this?
I'm just getting ready for that job interview.
Job interview? What job interview? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
You know, Casey's wedding. That guy Mike is hiring.
Oh, that guy. You do realise he's only after one thing? Is that really what you spent the emergency cash on?
Yeah, I thought you were right with it in the end.
Telling me that I got into trouble, you can tie it up for another guy?
No, it's not like that.
Do I not give you enough, Hannah? How many holidays do I take you on? I buy you clothes all the time. I take you to fancy restaurants. There's a car in the driveway that I bought for you.
Look, babe, if it's going to make you this upset, I won't go to the interview. Please don't go.
Go to your fucking interview. Go on. But you can bloody well walk. Because I'm thinking that dump of a car to the garage will clean again.
You know, it just wasn't the right time. It's my fault, really. I should have asked Scott first.
Is that all right for you? Did you not want to sit back?
Sorry, I just need to...
I think it really suits you.
Yeah, it's nice. Thanks, Donna. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working.
Oh, it's all right, don't worry. Just give me whatever you've got.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course.
I haven't even got any cash. Scott doesn't trust me with cash. To be honest, I don't trust myself.
Why, Scott?
You cancelled my card?
Looks like I'll have to get this one, Donna. Sorry for the inconvenience.
You like it? So, 6 weeks from now takes us to the 4th. Are you all right with the 4th?
No, sorry, we can't do the 4th. The 5th is a lot better.
5th at 2 p.m?
Lovely. Thanks, Donna.
Thanks, Donna.
See you later.
All right, see you later now. Bye-bye.
There you go.
There you go. Mm.
What did you think about that?
It seemed to be quite textbook, I suppose, in a lot of ways, because I think people have an idea that domestic abuse is wife beating, for want of a better phrase. That kind, I think that's the first thing that most people think of when they think of domestic abuse, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't wife beating. It's about dragging a person down. It's about making them feel worthless, making them feel guilty, and feeling controlled. And he was doing that to her in quite a lot of respects.
Yeah, it was a lot of control there, Mark, wasn't it? He was kind of controlling her, like, yeah.
Taking away her car, taking away her financial freedom, shall we say, and then him coming in and paying it, and then saying when the next appointment was going to be. It's just like he's taking over. And, you just wonder to yourself, how much more of that is she going to take? Because obviously it ended with them walking away, with him. It looked like he was frog marching the way he had his hand on her. There was no affection there. And the sad thing is that when you've got people like that, whether it's a man or a woman doing that to the other partner, the horrible thing is that level of control that they have and the way that they put them down and make them feel almost dependent on them. I wonder how, if the person in that video there would ever cotton on to the fact that, hang on, what's going on here? I'm worth much more than this. How much more of it is she going to take? Yeah, it's like I say, it's pretty textbook. But and I think that sort of domestic abuse is actually probably more common than the idea of wife beating or husband beating us.
Yeah, it is definitely
which is coming to light.
Control. Yeah,
because abuse doesn't have
to.
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
Because abuse isn't physical exclusively. Emotional abuse and domestic abuse can be both the same thing. Verbal abuse, mental abuse, just to the point where that person just feels so demoralized and so dependent on the abuser. It's horrible and it's sad, and it's I think it's all too common.
Well, if I was controlling my wife now, she'd just kick me up the backside, because my wife is a tough cookie. And if I say, do this and do that, she'd just pat a finger up to me and say, get lost or something like that. But the trouble is, though, there are people out there, men or women, I must say, both parties, that do control their partners like puppets, and do you think it's all boiled down to jealousy?
Well, jealousy is a form of insecurity, and I'd rather use the word insecurity. Because again, jealousy it's not a nice human trait, but it's a fairly common human trait, and you can be jealous in quite not a positive way, but a constructive way, i.e., if you are competing against somebody for something and the other person gets it, then you're going to feel jealous and you're going to think, well, I wish that was me. And that's not such a bad thing. But the insecurity aspect of it, definitely 100%. And every abuser and every person that controls in that way has something wrong with them. And there's different ways of control. Oh, go on, sorry.
Can you, friend, the hairdresser, kind of like, she was saying, is everything all right? And she was afraid to tell her that, she's being abused and everything. you know, and that hairdresser is probably wondering, wow, you know, she just saw that.
Mm,
You know, he's probably kind of like, you know, he's got her marching her down the street. You
yeah.
know, you know, what can I do? And she's so probably worried about her now. You
Mm.
know, what would you do? What would you do if you kind of like knew the person, but you knew somebody was being, you know, there was some domestic violence involved?
If that's the tricky thing, you see, because what can you do? Now, if you had evidence that somebody was being physically mistreated and abused to the point where they were getting injured or something, you know, there's obvious things you could do. You could step in and you could say to the fella, we're talking about the video now, you know, what, don't think I don't know what you're doing, because I've, you know, you could, but then that could make things worse.
Mm.
There's not a great deal you can actually do to step in. The only thing that you could do is, in a quiet moment, say to the person that's being controlled and who's been manipulated and who's being downtrodden, to say, look, you know, I've asked you if everything's all right, and you said it is, but clearly it isn't. Because the only person that can really change the pattern of abuse is the person that's on the receiving end of it. They have to, at some point in their life, say, no more of this. I'm worth more than this. And then there's things that they can do. They can go to the police, or they can get somebody to try and, you know, they can get assistance to try and get out of the situation they're in. There's not a great deal that hairdresser could have done at that time, because, you know, the client, the lady who was having her hair done, she wasn't giving much away. And like I said, there's always the problem that if you step in, and I think this does happen with people that have been abused, when an outsider tries to step in to try and sort it out, it could be like some, you know, like you've got like an abusive husband and a wife, and so the wife's brother or father or something, you know, goes to the fella and says, knock it off with, you know, or you'll have me to deal with. And usually the abused person usually rushes to the abuser's defense and says, you're wrong, there's nothing going on here, you know. And then that also makes it 10 times worse for the victim, because then the controlling man, the bully, will get more aggressive, because he'll feel that his position of power has been undermined and threatened by somebody stepping in and telling him or her that they're out of order. Again, I think, you know, the actual thing of putting it right, it has to start with the person that's on the receiving end of it, I think. And usually, I think it's a hard thing for somebody to admit to themselves that they're being controlled and abused, and then when it happens to them and it's very apparent to them, I think there's a state of denial probably, which could be caused by shame or a sense of worthlessness. They'll feel that they deserve it. But I think as well, and we have spoken about this in the past, you and I, you know, life nowadays, all of our lives are on show with Facebook. You're putting your life out there, and we all want to present a life that's happy and that's content and it's successful. We've got a great house, we've got great kids, we've got a loving partner, and the world is fantastic. And I think it's I think it's getting harder for people nowadays with that sort of culture going on to actually admit to the world that they're a victim of something that isn't nice and it isn't perfect. I think the shame is actually a bigger thing for people to deal with now, which is
If somebody hit you,
daft, really.
if somebody hit you, say like your partner hit you, would you ever forgive her?
No.
Yeah.
And I can say that through experience. I can say that, not talking about Melanie, by the way. But yeah, I've been, you know, I've been abused, and I've been, you know, I've been, you know, I've been, 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 I've been on the receiving end of abuse, shall we say? Mm. And I think I think the hard thing, Steve, is that once is too much with that sort of thing. And if somebody strikes you, whether it's a partner, whether it's a friend, or whether it's a stranger, if you forgive them, I think you're booting a hornet's nest open. You know, you're throwing the gates open to further abuse because you've said it's okay on that occasion, and it should never be okay.
No. I think sometimes people say they can change, and some people do. I must admit, I know I had somebody on here last year who abused his wife, and he said to me, he said, well, I actually got help. I changed my life around. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm married now. I've been married for 20 odd years, whatever. And it was just one silly one day, one thing, and I was stressed out. But then I realised I even phoned the police up, and he got actually arrested, sent to. He did a sentence, went to prison for 2 months or something. Then he came out. Then he went to rehab and got help. I believe people can change only if they want to.
I think, you're definitely right, and I think that because we're talking about somebody who's you're talking there, should I say, about somebody who shall we say, had a wobbly moment once and regretted it and tried to put it right. When I'm saying that I don't think the majority of abusive people can change, I'm talking about people that abuse the same person time after time after time after time because they've gotten away with it. I do think people have the capability to change, but do they have the will to change? They probably think in their minds that I've been done wrong. My tea wasn't ready when I got in. I've lost my job. I've got to take it out on somebody. There's no money with no money for this, no money for that, and I'm going to take that out on somebody. And I think that, unfortunately, is a fairly standard selfish attitude that a lot of these people have. But again, you see, it's not such a black and white thing because there could be factors which are causing abusive partners to be that way. If it's not insecurity, it could be things like drugs and alcohol that could be.
Yeah, but it's still kind of like it's still not right.
It's not right. No, I'm not saying that, Steve. What I'm saying is that there could be things, external things, which trigger that very excessive response in people, that kind of exaggerated response where they feel they have to hit somebody. So it might be a case of, well, simply stop taking drugs, stop drinking, stop doing whatever it is that's making you wound up and angry, that's wiring you up. So there's things like that could sort it out. I really do think I really do wish that it could be the case that people could change, but I'm a bit of a realist. We're talking about human beings, Steve, and we as a species, we're very, very flawed, and we're very, very damaged, I think. I don't think it's a sad fact of life.
Yeah.
But
Caroline, hang on for a second.
Yeah,
I've got a question here. Hi, Steve. I believe that what? I believe if you're an abuser, your wife will be an abuser. People cannot change. at the end of the day, because soon they hit one person, then they're going to hit the same person all over again.
Mm.
People can't change because they don't want to. It's all about control. Who's going to control this? Who's going to control me? It's all about control. Totally agree. Yeah, my partner can't go to the shops because I'm getting asked where she's going, and all right, okay. I followed her to the shops one day, but nothing actually happened. I was told by a friend that she's meeting somebody, but at the end of the day, it was fake. I went when she got back home. I actually had a go at her. Right, okay. I think that's it. That's the trouble, though, isn't it? It's like, and friends can cut things as well, where it's all gossip, or they can make stories up or everything. But at the end of the day, it's at the end of the day, I believe that people can change if they want to. But I
Yeah, the will
suppose
has
that
to be
comes
there.
down.
Yeah, it's all that will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. If you can get the help, like this guy I know, he actually went to a police station and got the help that he wanted. Then I believe that. I believe that you can do that. But you've got to be so careful, ain't we?
Mm. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much, Marcus. That was quick tonight, wasn't it?
Something different, I guess. Yeah. So, what were you saying at the start of when we were talking? Is it this week as like awareness for domestic violence? Is that why you've highlighted it?
It is, yeah.
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 And it should be highlighted, and people should feel confident enough to talk about it if it's happening to them. And the only advice that we can give is speak up and speak out and get out, because you're worth more than that.
And and if you listen to the one earlier before I did, Mark, with Susan Lee, I said, if you need any help at all, please phone the outlines that we will put up in a minute, and don't be afraid to phone. It's you've got to take that step to pick up that phone. And
it's a scary step. It's a very scary step, Steve, sometimes, but it's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Oh, yes, it is, definitely. Okay then, Mark. Thank you very much.
All right.
By the way, did you go to Port Call?
No. It didn't arrive in time, Steve. The package never arrived.
Oh,
and when it came, it was blonde. So I had to send it back. I look like Boris Johnson when I put it on.
I see the dustmen had a field, didn't they? They had up around about 200 odd weeks.
Yeah.
Yes. One particular one had a store up there. He was selling them. Yeah. Anyway, okay, guys.
There's always next year. All right, mate. I'll see you next week.
See you later. Bye.
All right, mate. Bye.
Always next week. Yeah.
There's always next week.
Don't forget, get your wig.